are at Super Happy Dev House 64. I'm here with Jorge Zavala. So far, it's been good, yeah? What do you think?
Yeah, I love that to be back into the small niche kind of environments, and you have the capability to talk with a lot of people in a cozy environment.
Yeah, right now we're hanging out at David Weekley's house. There's a lot of folks all around us, hanging out in the backyard. Some sitting down, coding, deving. A lot of folks inside, same thing, just deving and coding. That's what Super Happy Dev House is all about, yeah?
Yeah, I love from the beginning, from the first time that I came here in the Rainbow House in Cupertino for a Super Happy Dev House that was in the 2012 or something like that.
So you have some experience with Rainbow House, huh?
Yeah, I went there several times, and I love it. And really, for me, it was a different experience getting into a house where everybody was sitting, using their computer and try to do something, programming, hacking, if you want to see. And we are used very much into being in a classroom, some person in front talking, and here is everybody's trying to do something by himself, by themselves. In some way, that's a very powerful environment. And the most amazing thing is that you start doing some programming, or you may need some help and you talk to the guy on the side, or the guy on the side talk to you, and you have a conversation that helps you to break a little bit your mindset, or it has an icebreaker, and jump into, sometimes into the subject that you are programming, or sometimes into any subject that give you and ignite your creativity.
So Super Happy Dev House has been here for a while now, yeah?
Yeah.
When did you join Super Happy Dev House or get connected with Super Happy Dev House?
Yeah, that was interesting. I recall one day I was in a software development forum in SAP in Palo Alto, and David Weekley was giving a talk about how to develop software. At that time,
what year was this?
That was in 2012, I guess, 2011.
Okay.
I don't exactly recall the time.
So at this point, Super Happy Dev House has already been going for a few years?
Was about a year or so that was going there. Yeah, was much later than the very first one, where it was the PB Wiki creation in the first edition. That should be about the edition 4 or 5 of that. Because for some reasons that I never have a clue idea why, they created the Super Happy Dev House every 6 weeks.
Well, how did you even find it? Like, what was your connection, like that you found David Weekley?
Yeah, I was coming to the Silicon Valley. I was bringing people. I was here for almost 5 years at that time. I came here in 2005, and Software Development Forum was a very well-known network community of people that has events every now and then. And we came to listen how software development was developed. And Santiago and Cesar approached him to talk and say, hey, we would like to learn more about that, and say, why you don't stop by into the Super Happy Dev House, and it's going to happen this weekend in the Rainbow House.
Who is Antonio and Cesar?
Santiago is my son, and is a good friend of David Weekley. And Cesar was another friend of my son. Then they came from Mexico. They were in part of the international acceleration program that I was running for the Mexican government.
Okay.
And they came here to have a 1 week seminars. And we went, I recall that was a Tuesday. We went there and say, okay, why you don't drop by into the Super Happy Dev House on Saturday?
And was this at David's house?
No, that was at the Rainbow House in Cupertino.
The Rainbow House in Cupertino. Okay. Yep. Interesting. How long was it? Was it just a 1 day, 2 day, 3 day event?
No, all the time. Super Happy Dev House has been less than a day. Usually you start about 11 or 12 o'clock, and you run till 10 o'clock in the night. And the last hour is dedicated to the people that wants to share what they built during the day.
Okay.
They created the talking, the lightning talks. And the lightning talks was, you have 5 minutes to convey that. And one of the very interesting things that the lighting talks was the experience of, okay, I built a software that is a game, or I did a software that is to handle the close and open the doors in a house, or I did a social media application, or I did a plugin, whatever that. And usually, one of the interesting things, and is a very different mindset than other places, was the people put that code available in GitHub, and they publish the link. Okay, if you want to see what I did, it's here. You can use it, you can download it, you can approach it, you can fork. And that was for me, when I was learning about this concept and was getting traction, that is the open source.
Okay, where's your son at?
My son is now in Mexico.
In Mexico?
And I recall in around 2011, they created the Mexican VC, that was investment firm in Mexico. David Weekly, Cesar, another girl, and David.
Yeah, so they got their own Super Happy Dev House division out there as well, yeah?
Yes, and after that, they start doing that event in Mexico. They came back to Mexico City, and they say, hey, how they knew the history, how David Weekly started the Super Happy Dev House and was doing in his house in the first time. And Santiago say, okay, why we don't do a Super Happy Dev House in my house? And they did in Mexico City, in the house where they used to live in Mexico City. And they invited about 8 people to be doing programming, everybody by themselves. That was a complete challenge, because everybody say, okay, we get together and we do a program all together. No, here each one started somewhere. Some people start doing something about music, other people about animation, different things.
Okay, so everybody that's here right now is working on their own independent project. Well, most of them, there's some people that are just hanging out, just checking out what Super Happy Dev House is. Like myself, I'm not really working on anything. I'm just checking things out. It's my first one. I've never, aside from the Super Happy Dev House at Hacker Dojo, but this is different. If you haven't been to a Super Happy Dev House, this is different. Going to someone's house, there's a very unique vibe that's going on here in comparison to in a building. Here, I feel like people are more focused. I feel, there's not a lot of cross promotion. People are they want to chop out code. They want to complete their goal. At least that's what I'm feeling here. It's. But at the same time, it's nice and welcoming. I think it's because it's obviously David's home.
Yeah, being in a house is a quite different environment. First, because you have a different locations within the house. Some people is in the garden. Some people is in the living room. Some people in the TV room, and that creates a small atmosphere, different atmospheres.
Yes.
And that is very good, because first and all, as you say, is not distracted, because it's 4 or 5 people, each one concentrated in doing whatever they want to do.
How many how many Super Happy Dev Houses have you been to so far?
I don't know. I may be in about 20 of them. Yeah, it's in Mexico City. At least I went to 4 of them.
Okay.
And one of them, I really have a very great experience, was the number 10 in Mexico City. I recall very well that Santiago and Cesar was very proud, because they started doing 8 persons, then was 16 persons. Was a viral kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And they did in the second one into was a training company. The third one was in a largest training company, because it was not 16 people, it was 32 people. The next one I went there to that was in a cluster of companies in Mexico City, in the north part of Mexico City. That was a huge building with about 50 software companies. And in the rooftop, they have a fantastic place to do the Super Happy Dev House. Half of them was with a ceiling and very easy to be working. And the other part was a very open, where they have it a grill and they were cooking food and things like that. And was about 50 or 60 people there.
Wow.
Later on, they keep going, and in the number 10, they have registered 150 people and say, hey, we have a problem. Where we are going to hold that event? Because we have 150 people and we don't have a location to do that. Right. And Cesar went to visit. He was a student at that time in the Tec of Monterrey, Valle de Guadalupe, that is in the north part of Mexico City. And he went to the dean of the university and said, hey, we are organizing this event and we are doing software development. This is the profile. And really the environment is very appealing. That could be very good fit for a university to hold it there. And the dean of the university said, okay, well, that sounds good. We have an auditorium that can hold 500 people. And say, that's more than enough than you need it. Why you don't hold it there? And they decide to do that. I recall that was on November or something like that, close by to the Thanksgiving time. And they say, okay, that's nice. We have a location, we have people. Why we don't tell David Weekley and the founders of Super Happy the House about the idea? And they send it an invitation. Why you don't come down? Come down.
Okay.
And David Weekley, as you know, is a guy that he loves to challenge people all the time. Say, yeah, that sounds interesting, but flying for one day back and forth looks that it's not really easy to convince people to invest. The cost of flying from San Francisco to Mexico City. See, and very smart. They read, Cesar and Santiago read the email with that comment and say, hey, you want to have more fun? Why we don't organize a hack expedition? And say, what is a hack expedition? And they start to prepare a PowerPoint presentation and say, okay, they got some pictures of the location where was going to be held the Super Happy the House, a very nice, beautiful auditorium of a very good university in Mexico. And was amazing because say, okay, that's good. They say, why we don't add that next day we can go to Teotihuacan, where is the ruins in Mexico City. That could be a very nice tour for them. And another guy say, hey, if we go to ruins, why we don't go to Tajín? Tajín is about 3 hours or 4 hours drive from Mexico City. That is also a very beautiful ruins, all ancient ruins. And say, that's great. Well, if we're in the state of Veracruz, why we don't run into Filobobos? Filobobos is a Grand Rapid kind river where you do kayaking.
Okay.
And that triggered interest for these people. They sent the picture of these things, and David sent it to all the organizers of the Super Happy Day House and say, hey, who is interested in that? And 14 people say, hey, we want to go there. And say, okay, that's great. And how we are going to manage that, or what is going to be the logistics and things like that. And Santiago say, well, don't worry, I live in a house and it's big enough that all people can land, bring your sleeping bags and we can sleep on the floors and things like that. And 14 of them went there, spent the night, went to the Super Happy Day House, spent the night in my house in Mexico, and next day they have already prepared to have 2 buses that we're going to take the 15 people plus other 15 Mexican guys that was going to join and go all together like a tour.
A hack expedition, man. That's something we need. We need more hack expeditions.
Yes, we need to do that. But the interesting part was while the Super Happy Day House was going on, the participants was about 150 or 200 people there. Start to learn that, hey, these people is going to go tomorrow to the ruins and to the rapids and some people start to complain. We want to go there, and say, well, it's very easy. Why you don't go? we have this is the hotels where we are going to stay. We got 2 small buses to get into that place. Why you don't call to these people, list your own, and go there. And was about 30 people or something like that went there, or 40 people. I don't know how many people. Was a good number of people that went together. And that was a fantastic, because they were programming and doing and chatting for a lot of people that they didn't know what that means, Silicon Valley, what was the way of life in the large companies. It was people that used to work in Twitter, in Twilio, in Google, different kind of people.
Did you have? Do you have any photos of that?
There is a collection of pictures, and we can find them in loaded in Yahoo. I have the reference. I need to figure out that.
So just look Super Happy Dev House, Hackspedition, maybe you can find
Hackspedition and Super Happy Dev House Mexico, and there is a lot of them in Yahoo, and in the SlideShare there is a good presentation that 1 year later was presented here in another Super Happy Dev House that happens to be in Microsoft, and they while they created the event, they reserve was not usual to have presentations in the event, but they just assign a slot of time to do that presentation in a very interesting way.
Jorge, are you a developer?
Yeah, my life. I used to be. I studied engineering. I was a very hardcore programmer. I did a little bit of basic. Very little. And when I was in the university getting my degree, the university just got the first mini computer, and I make a very good friendship with the director of the computer science.
Okay.
And they allow us a group. We have a group of about 8 friends, that we allow it to be using that computer specifically for us during 1 hour a day. And that was fantastic, because can you imagine a university of 2,400 people, then 8 people has assigned a slot every single day of 1 hour to use that computer. And we did a lot of things, focusing to real time and focusing to industrial applications.
So, wow, what year was that?
That was in 1973.
1973. Okay, now we're in 2023.
Yeah.
And you're still developing code?
I am still doing some code. 2 years ago, I came back to do some programming, and I went to jump into Vue, into JavaScript, and I create some applications for Bitcoin, crypto applications, for how to share knowledge and get paid with crypto money.
Okay. At Hacker Dojo, you've been doing some lightning talks, primarily focused on AI.
That's right.
That's been your new hot topic, eh?
Yes, and that is interesting, because in my sense, that AI, you can be a very hardcore programmer, or you can be a very strong user of that. And I moved from programming into a strong user of AI. I am a lover of ChatGPT. I am finding how to use ChatGPT to generate content, to create a simulation, how to train people to develop concepts using ChatGPT as a partner or as a instructor for you.
Wow. It took me a moment to think about that. So now that you're here at Super Happy Dev House, are you working on anything?
Yes, right now I am trying to explore is the goal of using the creating content for ChatGPT is how to develop solopreneurs.
Solopreneurs.
And solopreneurs is an entrepreneur that has a big idea, and they try to create something without building a huge company and doing everything by themselves. Usually, one person is doing a gig or a freelancing, and it's not scalable. The solopreneur is people that knows how to do things, but they are looking how to scale that, like creating a software development, a platform that can operate everything, a lot of these fully automated. And coming to the AI and all the no-code techniques, today is getting more easy than one person can run the full show.
Yeah.
And I am doing that. And today, one of the things I am playing is when you try to become a solopreneur, it's very hard. We are social people. We love to create groups of people and say, okay, I'm going to invite my friends. And when you invite your friends, it's interesting, but if you have a great idea that you can build yourself, you start focus more in how to organize the group of people instead of how to do a great application. And the solopreneur looking how I build one good application that is going to be delivered to the user or to the customer. And that is a different way. How you develop that is you learn the 360 degrees of the business, how to create the product, how to build the value proposition, how to do the marketing, how to do support, how to deliver, all these things you do by yourself. But when you say, I need to learn all these things, how I learn it? It's very hard. And one way I am doing is creating some contents that allow to guide the people to learn how to be solopreneurs and build a network that is a peer-to-peer network of people that has every week or every week a meeting where they have a conversation and each one try to help the other ones. I don't need to convince you about my project. I have this problem. Everybody in the group give me feedback, ideas, suggestions, and I run with my ideas. And how to manage that meetings, it could be highly improved if you start using some kind of tools that help you how to handle the agenda, how to handle the reference, because a lot of people they start giving a lot of points, hey, why you don't see this thing and this thing and this thing, and you forget about that. I am trying all these things, make it very actionable, how to keep track of them, and how next week when you come back with a group of people, you say, okay, the recommendations that you gave me, I use it, these ones help me, these ones doesn't help me, and these ones, I didn't try it. And
interesting. So you have years of experience with Super Happy Dev House, many years. What was the most amazing thing that came out of Super Happy Dev House that you saw from concept to product?
That is very.
I know that's a challenge. I know there's a lot of things, so many years to look back on. But does anything stand out that you can think of?
Well, I guess the PB Wiki experience is one of a kind. How in the very first event, they tried to create a way how to create wikis with one click. If you remember that was in 2010. Is today you can create a website in WordPress with a click. But at that time, was far away to be done, feasible to be done.
Yeah, to connect and connect.
And you take for an hour or 2 hours if you were very sharp in doing that. Usually, you may take a couple, 1 day to create your website, the structure to run your website.
And now you can use ChatGPT to build it like that.
Is now you create ChatGPT, or you can use WordPress, or there is thousands of other platforms that you create the place where to host that concept, and then you put the ChatGPT to create the content, and even that you can create the different points of view. Yesterday in the previous Super Happy Day House about 2 months that happens in the Hacker Dojo, Janus was telling us how to use different techniques about how to build the information diet. And that information diet is what is the diet information that you needed to learn the things that you want. And it's quite interesting approach because you build a process in how you are keeping all the time nurturing how to learn more about a specific subject.
That's great. All right, Jorge. So, eres mexicano, ¿eh?
Soy mexicano.
Okay. Vas a hablar en español, ¿eh?
Okay.
Para todos los mexicanos que están aquí viendo este video, explícame qué es Super Happy Dev House.
Mira, Super Happy Dev House es un evento que se hace en un lugar, puede ser en una casa, puede ser en una oficina, en un centro de convenciones, que dura regularmente de 10 de la mañana, 12 de la mañana a 10 de la noche. Son 12 horas en donde la gente llega con su computadora, empieza a trabajar en desarrollar la persona sola, una aplicación, un software, un componente, una pieza de hardware, si es posible, dependiendo del lugar donde se haga. Y el objetivo es cómo creo algo que es útil, que al final del día, en un Lightning Talk de 5 minutos, le comparto a la gente, hice esto, vean lo que logré.
Perfecto. Gracias, Jorge.
Un gusto.